Hello, ladies and gents. Very warm welcome to this latest episode of Passions. And today I'm thrilled to be joined by Craig Sugden. And Craig might not be a name that you know, but you probably have got, there's a good chance you've seen a lot of his work. So it's always best, as I say on this channel, to get the person to introduce themselves, because I can't do it justice. So Craig, very warm welcome to the show. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what your passion is.
Okay, so my name's Craig Sugden, from the north of England, born and bred in Bradford, but I've been down south for too long now, so I've softened up a bit. But I'm a photographer, I'm a stills man, and I suppose my passion, which is a really good question, because you've asked me that, well, it changes on a daily basis, doesn't it? It's like, but I suppose my passion is doing what I love, basically, and I suppose in the present, for me now, passion is presence. And what I mean by that is, having the carpet pulled from under us with this weird pandemic thing, you realize that, well, what's gone before, whatever's going on ahead, concentrate on this. It's the most underrated moment in the universe, is the present. So I feel now that I take a lot of days as they come, and I realize that the creativity I've had all my life isn't going anywhere. Still here, and it's probably is richer than ever. So I would say the present, if that can be passion.
Brilliant. But I'm not going to let you get away without talking about your past, because I've seen some of your work and it's really first class. So tell us what exactly it is you were doing before everything hit the fan, and some of the high moments, if you like, of that career.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll give you a brief sort of abridged history of me, I suppose.
Yeah.
Bred in Bradford. Yeah. Kind of grew up in the 80s, so I left school in 86. So that was the 80s, when it was a funny old world then. But it wasn't to a 16-year-old. I was like, living again, living as you do, and it was exciting music wise. I was kind of always around creatives. Didn't realize it, but I was in Bradford Festival a lot with sort of hippies. I was quite hippie-ish or whatever, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And in them days, you remember in the 80s, it was like you had a careers officer, who was this, this guy or this woman came in and went, "What do you like doing?" "Cooking, chef." "Next, what do you like doing?" And especially when I wasn't academic in the slightest. I wasn't, I realize now, I was dyslexic and I've got ADHD, and all these things have come out later, which we can talk about maybe in another podcast, but I was diagnosed later on. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought, right, I'll cut some grass for the golf course. So I ended up cutting grass for the golf course. I'm quite industrious and quite sort of on there. I was only a really small kid, and I did that. And I was going to go back to stay on at school, and I just didn't. I thought, no, this summer job turned into a real job. So I loved doing that. I was outside. I then went to college to study horticulture, and I went to work on an estate, a big estate. And I was kind of, quite hippie-ish, so good being outside. I realized now it was such a dream job, being outside. And I think that's where I got a real, I read. I don't read that much now, but I read as a kid things which was never on the syllabus, like I read all about the beat writers in America, all the poets and all. So I was absorbing something there. I don't know what it was. And I was in a band, and it was weird. It was just, I was loving it, And then with ADHD, I think I got bored very quickly. So in a couple of years I've been there, I was thinking, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. So I traveled for about a year, and just went around Europe with a mate of mine, and came back. And I remember my dad going, "You ought to be an actor. There's someone in Halifax," and I went, "What?" When there's access to higher education for acting, you should be an actor. I really, really love my dad for this, because he's a plumber, working class guy, and you could tell I was a bit all over. I was a bit of a wild guy, but it was really interesting. I thought, acting, where do you get that from, Dad? I've never acted in my life, never did school plays, never. But you could see that there was something lacking. So anyway, I went to Halifax, met this guy called Neil Horsfield, and I had my portfolio of the band I was in. Don't know why, usually actors audition. I just showed him pictures of me in a band. And he was going, all right, okay, so what about acting? I went, oh, well, I'll give it a go. Anyway, he must have seen something. So he accepted me on the course. And then the first play I ever did in my life was Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus playing Wagner. I didn't have a clue what I was saying. It's the first original blank verse, but somehow I kind of loved it, and he recognised something in me. And then before you know it, I'm there for 2 years, playing the lead in everything, going, I think I found something here. This is great. I love it. And I auditioned for drama school, and I got into 3, unheard of, and I got into the best. I got into the Royal Welsh. Well, I'd say I got into 3. I got into Rose Bruford in London. I got into Royal Welsh College in Cardiff, and I got a recall from Manchester Met. Didn't like Manchester Met, and I thought it was too close. And then when I did the auditions and the recalls at Rose Bruford and the Royal Welsh, I loved a guy called Shah who took me around. This Asian guy from Manchester at the Royal Welsh. So I thought, well, if he's got in and he's my, and then within 6 months, I'm living in Cardiff, studying acting with only 8 guys and 8 women, 16 people in that year, and I just flew, and I worked, because I was a little bit older than I was a mature student, and the ages were from 18 to sort of 20 or to about 30, and I was in my mid-20s, and it was amazing. And left drama school, worked, did a lot of telly, did a lot of theatre, got a good agent, moved to London. So I'd gone from like being this gardener growing tomatoes to like within 5 years living in London with an agent, being the face of Purcell and Yorkshire Tea, working for the English Shakespeare Company, doing Shakespeare's now, working for Theatre Cloyd. I mean, it was just bizarre, but amazing. And I thought, well, that's it, I've arrived. But with me at all times, and I forget to mention this, was always a little camera, always a camera. Because my grandpa was a very keen amateur, my mum's dad. And I think I've documented everything all my life. So everything as a kid, from the age of 13, it's pictured me on the street with my kids, with my mates, and then everything in drama school, all the rehearsals, I did it all myself. Then when I became a professional photographer, I was obsessed with the stills. I was like, who's taking the pictures? Oh, Nobby Clark or Ivan Kinkle. I know them. I've read their books, wow. So there was always that connection. But I was very busy for the first 5 years of my acting career, because you've got energy and you'll say yes to anything. So basically, I was doing that. And then as you get a bit older and within the business, you lose your casting bracket. And, what I realized about acting was everybody's got an opinion on you apart from you. And I'm very opinionated on me as well as everybody else. So I kind of found that a bit hard sometimes. And I thought maybe I need to go into directing or something, because I'm questioning everything, and I'm not settling for half within my creativity. When someone go, well, the costume will do, and you go, no, it won't do. If I'm on, I suppose it could have been construed as being a bit precious, but it wasn't. It was about caring about. I loved my art and I loved it, but as you got on, the resting periods, as we call them, were becoming longer, but also you're choosing different jobs. You're saying no. And I'd never been in Coronation Street, and I was like, I can't believe I'm not being in Corrie or Emmerdale. My name's Sugden, for Christ's sake, what's going on?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I changed agent to a Manchester agent, and within a month I got Corrie and I got Emmerdale. And then I started to think about telly. So I got into TV more, and TV is a totally different animal to theatre. I mean, here's an example. When you do theatre, on your first day, you get a greet and meet, and you meet people you're never going to see again. This is Janice from accounts, and this is Alan from, marketing. And you meet all these people, and we all sort of go, hey, how you doing? And we have a little massage of the shoulders, and hey, and then we look at the model, and we all go, look at the model, and then the designer's there, and we look at these little models, and we look at pictures of the costumes we're going to wear, and we're all going, hey, we're employed, we've got work, we're all doing all that. And then we sit down, we do a read through, and then we never see these people again. And it's just us. And that is, for me, the most beautiful process in the world. The 3 weeks, 4 weeks of rehearsing is, it's vulnerable, it's scared, and it's safe, it's everything. And it's amazing, right? And it's so creative. But it's this family which has been created. Now, telly, unless you're Robson Green or whoever, you know, is turn up, no read through, get picked up. You get picked up, you're in a car, you go, what? Who's picking me up? You know, it's a little Winnebago, and you sit there and you're all right, this is John. Yeah, you don't see anybody, no rehearsals. You go on there and you say, hello, 1450, please, fish and chips twice. You know what? And it's so impersonal. It's so scary, but it's so liberating because nobody gives a damn. It's not your medium. You know, it's the DOPs, the directors, the sound man, the designers, the lights, the sparks. So it's very different. So I'd gone from this family working, which I love. But again, as a performer on stage, I got bored on stage because I love the creating. But once you know your part and you're going, I've got 6 months of doing this. Oh my God, it's hard work. So I sort of pulled away from that. I said to my agent, and this is going on after 10 years of my career, maybe let's not do much theatre now. It's underpaid, it's overworked, it's so creative. But you also then, when you're getting into your 30s or your 40s, you're going, why don't I own an house now? Why can't I? You know, you're on 400 quid a week.
Yeah.
It's hard work. So in between resting and not doing TV things or whatever, I picked up my camera. I always had it. And somebody said, a friend of mine, Jo Joyner, who was an actress who's in quite a famous actress now, but she was in my year at drama school and we were close friends. She was like, be a photographer. Your photography is amazing. And think about doing headshots to start with. So I started doing headshots and then the odd telly. And then I was thinking, God, I'm making more in a week doing headshots than I'm doing, Oh, What a Lovely Water, Theatre Clwyd, right? And I've got time. Now I'm not working because rehearsing and doing a play is long. And then when you get to shows and they open, you can't do anything during the day because you start at 7, you finish at 10. And I just found that I was growing out of acting, and that sounds awful, but I was listening to actors. It's very hard. There was a fine line between theatre and therapy, as I called it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people were actors. You go, how are you? And they go, I'm really good at the moment. I'm working now. I'm not working. I've got this audition. And then you think, okay, do you want to ask how I am? And we forget it's because it's a hard business. It's not because we're selfish. It's just a hard. You were putting not your life on the line, but you're putting yourself on the line, and it's hard. So I started doing that, and then I can tell you my break. I kind of decided not to do theatre again, acting wise. I thought I'll do telly. So I said to my agent, "Don't put me for any theatre, just telly, adverts or whatever." And I felt quite good at that for the first time. I've got an opinion on me, and that's what's going to happen, Jane. So if you can now just put me up for the soaps and and I got close to a couple of soaps a year ago, big main parts, but never happened. Anyway, this is, the funny thing is, she went, okay, that's fine. And then she'd bring up and go, so-and-so wants us to offer you. I got a lot of offers for theatre because I've been doing it for a while then. And I'd be going, no. And I could see my agent going, oh, okay. I can't get shut of you now for like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? That's what she's saying. I can't get my 20%. And I'm just saying, just TV work. And then I realised I didn't work for 2 years. It's hilarious. I didn't get anything. She's like, but I was working. I was doing headshots. Now I was working for a little advertising company doing bits and bats. And people were going, you've got an eye, mate, And I loved, I think what I was doing still, I didn't realise it, I can talk about it now, is I was still acting. I was still pretending to be a photographer. So I kind of went to work and went, hey, thinking to myself, I'm making this up. I am busking this. But for some reason, there's a bit of magic dust on this and it was working. So I then had a little cafe I used to go to in right in the heart of the West End. It was called the Canteen. It was owned by a guy called Nunu, who was this Algerian guy, beautiful man. And he had a cafe and I would always stay there and actors would hang there and all that lot. And I said to Nunu, look, can I put my pictures up here? He's going, Craig, I would love you to put it. I went, okay, I'm going to do an exhibition. I'm going to call it From the Hip. I'm going to shoot everything from the hip. So no camera there. It's going to go there. So it's a different perspective. And I'm just going to walk around London. I suppose I'm saying it was street photography, but I didn't really know anything about that. And I created this exhibition in his in the cafe. It's on St Martin's Lane, right next door to Sheiky's. WC2H with the postcode. It's right in the heart of Covent Garden. And I got all my theatre mates to get a red carpet. I got my mate who owns a Salisbury pub next door. We'll do the after show party. So I made it like like a play. I'll have my exhibition. It's called From the Hip, Craig Sugden, la la la. And downstairs, he'd give me a little storage room, which then I said to Nunu, can I make this into a little studio? Because then I can, so I got into a little studio, got the rules. I spent a bit of money, maxed all my cards out. And I invited the industry. I invited my agents, also my famous mates. Then I invited like art directors I knew, some paps I'd met. And the show, and I say show in the loosest term, you know, it was pictures in a cafe, but I made it into like an event. Everything sold. I give my business cards out and I said, look, this is my little studio now. So if you want mock-ups, then I can shoot mock-ups. Because what it is in Soho, it's where all the creative industries are. They have to go a bit further out for doing studios, but sometimes you want small studios for mock-ups, you know, doing certain things. And being in the West End, they just got to leave their desk and come to me. So,
and at this point, did you think, right, okay, this is it, I'm now changing, or I have now changed direction, this is my new passion, if you like, this is my new career? Did you think it then, bloody hell, I'm going places now with this?
well, it was weird because I kind of, so my agent came and this is John, my other agent, went, oh, I suppose I've lost you now. And I was like laughing. I went, well, you will do if you buy one of my prints, mate. I think I made him get one of my prints. And I think he could see it, but he was very supportive. He still is, John, even though he's, in fact, bizarrely enough, on a side shooter. I went back to him. I bumped into him years ago afterwards, and he saw me on the train and went, God, you're looking amazing. And I said, put me on your books and get me a film. And he did for a little bit. No, it happened. But I was felt confident then about, it's funny, not being an actor. When you stop saying I'm an actor, something lifted from me. Because the thing is, what isn't, you know, you don't have to put it on. I'm a human being. And the thing is, I might be an actor. Who knows? In another 5 years, I might be an actor. I might work on a film and somebody might go, well, that did happen, you know, John Apart. I probably wouldn't, because I feel my creativity has gone behind the lens now. But I remember thinking, to your question then is, am I missing a trick? Have I given, you know, have I retired? Do I have to say I've retired? You know, do I have to say I've retired from an actor? You know, and I kind of felt like I had to declare it in a way, but I still had an agent for 18 months after that. But again, I could no longer take those jobs, which were going to take me 3 weeks rehearsal and 3 weeks run. I couldn't do them jobs anymore because I built up such, within a small space of time, I built up such a small contact of important people, you know, in terms of my photography, and I was getting rewarded money-wise.
So this is absolute classic, actually. What's now known. It's interesting what you say about quite often terminology now is more clear than it was back in the day, as it were.
Yeah,
so this strikes me as what they would now call personal brand building.
wow.
You know, where you're building. Yeah, absolutely. And it's critical now as part of some of the work we do is very much around supporting people in developing personal brand. And obviously we all know about brand, well, to a point we know about brand building, the importance of it with product, you know, like whether it's Marks and Spencer's, the brand is just, obviously it's been a bit tough the last few years, but generally speaking, you know, you just hear the brand and you buy it. You know, you don't need a recommendation to buy Coca-Cola because you just know the brand is credible. So like now with personal brand. So it sounds to me like that's exactly what you were doing. You were building personal brand, building what I call know, like, and trust with a key number of people. And I guess that started to, did that start to develop recommendations to others and or repeat business?
Yeah, I mean, so what's interesting, I'm a bit like, my work's a bit like a racehorse. You can trace it right to that one contact.
Yeah.
But just going back to what you said about personal brand is really interesting because we didn't know about that back in the day, did we? We had a careers officer, you know, who would go, not branding, but what do you like doing, or do that, or what are you good at, do that. We didn't talk about social skills. I tell my daughter, I'm a dad, I became a dad, an older dad, and I tell her more than anything, I've never had to show anything of what I've done. I've just proved it within my social skill remit, right? Social skills are so important. If you're a doctor and a scientist, you might not need them as much, right? You're fine. You know, your legs will take you to the meetings and your head's for thinking and that. But in life, we need people who haven't got social skills don't get on. And I think social skills has got me on. It's got me from being an actor, gardener, actor to a photographer. And a photographer who is at top of his game is there. It's not like, you see my images in Leicester Square, or I can be on a train, tube, and I see my pictures. When I first started seeing that was weird. Now you just go, oh no, that's mine. And it's bizarre that I'm not being blasé about it, but it's just, if I look where I've come from, it's mental. So I think there was something about me metamorphosizing into something else. But again, the essence of me I've never changed. I'm still that hippie guy reading beat books, you know what I mean, about, which is about exercise and imagination. And I could always get on with people. I know I'm likable because I like people. I'm not because I'm a nice person or whatever. I'm likable because I like you. I like you. I like to talk to you. I like, and I love that. And that is I suppose that's my passion, people. Going back on that.
So to what degree do you think you could, and this is an interesting one I've thought about before, can you teach likability?
I don't think I think it's a prejudice. I mean, it sounds odd because we get it wrong. Sometimes we can go. So I suppose in my industry as well, when I was an actor, if you think about it, you have more job interviews than most people have in their lifetime. You meet more people within a job thing than most people have in a lifetime. So it's very nervous. You have your audition, it's scary, vulnerable, it's up and down. You get the job. That's almost a deflation then. You've done the hard work. Then you've got to go in there and you've got to meet either 4 to 20 people. And you're not always going to get on. And you do this. You go, well, I bet she's shit. I bet she's good. And you're always wrong, right? That's the beauty of it. Because you can't help that. And again, I remember at drama school, the first day of my drama school, Andrew Neil, the head of acting, said, look around. I know what you're doing. You're looking at her and going, she'll do it. You're looking at him and going, he's funny. You're doing it all. You are doing it all because you can't help it. This is human nature. He said, all I'm going to say to you is in 3 years' time, you're all wrong. The one person who didn't do anything will be the luckiest man on earth, the luckiest woman who'll be in Hollywood. The one person you thought was talented won't even get past the 2 years. So he said, beware and be, of judging, be aware that you are doing it and be prepared to be wrong. So I've always taken that with me. I look at someone and I'll be judging. I'll have judged you, right? And what I'm saying to you is not going, and I put you in some kind of box somewhere. And what I try and do is every time I'm doing that, be aware that I am doing it. Please be aware that I'm doing it. And it's probably wrong or it's probably right. Doesn't really matter. We're going to find it. So I have all that going on. And I think socially, those things, they don't teach us that at school. And I've just found that out from homeschooling, which that might be another podcast, because I've realised what the hell is this about, But
do you think, just asking you that question, just picking you up on that, do you think self-awareness is a really, really important part of successful careers? Now, that successful careers is a very broad term, I know, but to what degree do you think self-awareness assists you to be able to carve your way through to where you want to be quicker?
It's weird, isn't it, that question? Because when you said that straight away, when you're training as an actor, and I don't want to get this all about acting because it's not. That was a very small part of my life and moved on. But it's it's like your educational, and with self-awareness, that's the enemy. You shouldn't be self-aware because that creates self-consciousness, and that then is the enemy on stage because you're looking at yourself. When you look at yourself, you stop being in the moment or whatever. But then, and that's the way the Stanislavski teaches you, which is the sort of method in which we all train under classical acting or whatever. And you're going, I could never get my head around this. I'm thinking, well, we are being self-aware because otherwise, I'd just walk off stage, wouldn't I? Stab him from playing Macbeth. You have to be self-aware. You have to be that fine line.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to be self-aware, but it's an animal you've got to keep at bay, I think, if that makes sense. So it's a fine line of self-awareness. Being self-aware is, I think, knowing your impact, knowing your effect on somebody. So I think, I'm definitely self-aware. So when I was starting my business, and we'll talk about how my break, my big break I got from a guy called Adam Kenwright. But what I did with my photography, and I look back at my photography, some of it was amazing, some of it was absolutely embarrassing. Going, I had some, but how I charged for that. And what I realised very quickly is I reviewed what I was doing, and I thought, how can I make this experience of a headshot more? If they like me, they're going to like my shots better. If I'm a complete tosser, excuse me, they're going to go, that was a bit of a bad experience. So when they're looking through their pictures, they're going, well, he was a bit of a git. It's all right. I mean, but I didn't like. So it's a different vibe you're putting on the selection. If they liked me and we had a really good time, and it was almost like a therapy session for both of us, chatting away and delving, then they would go, what a great experience that was. Oh, that's nice. And I think that was my formula. So I felt, extend myself first with them, get on with them, and the photography can look after itself, and I'll learn. Instead of shooting 200, I'll shoot 5,000. So I was working all night, getting it, and I messed up a lot. But I've never had a client going, this hasn't worked in all my days. And it's like, I think it's because there's a likability there, and I liked, and that has become genuine. So now when I don't do many headshots, I do, because I do more commissions now or whatever. But I've had mad people in my little studio, famous people going, is this where we? You had to go through the kitchen. There was Nuno going, "Oh, are you going downstairs for day?" And you've got, you've got famous actors going, "Are we going down it?" But when we went down there, I made sort of about that, and I think people genuinely liked me because I genuinely liked them. So that worked, and I've always now, if you think about those, shooting those actors headshots, and then 8 years later, I'm in Jamaica shooting Usain Bolt, making him like me, getting him to like me. He's a 6 foot odd, fastest black man on earth, and I'm a short northerner with silver hair going, how can I make this cool guy think I'm cool? And I did it somehow. And I think it took a time, but then what happens is you win them, and I'm still in touch with them. You know what I mean? I'm in touch with NJ now.
That's a fascinating insight. I've been doing interviews for quite some time, and quite often there's a moment in an interview where I think I have what I call an aha moment.
Yeah.
And doing these passions interviews, this is continued to be the case.
Oh, lovely.
And what's jumped out at me about what you've just said is that if they like you, and this is my interpretation of what you've said, but if they like you and they get on with you, they're almost looking at your work through a different lens.
Yeah, because they haven't got their back up.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, actually.
That works. And what I'm saying to you is, like, don't get me wrong. There's a fine line. There's David Bailey was a big fan of mine. I love David Bailey. He's in his 80s now, and listen to him talk. He's giggling, he's chatting, he's going, oh, how did you get that shot? And he went, I fucking asked him.
No, he's all right, you're all right.
I asked him for it. And I love his secret. He opens his secret. He's magnetic, and he's grumpy and old now and that. But I know he's an amazing photographer. But you can't. When you read about it, everybody said they loved him, man, woman, everybody loved him, and I think that's his magic. And he was a guy who went in and broke into the fashion when it was all a bit kind of straight. I mean, I heard that Bailey was the first person to say to the models, "What do you think?" Now, that might be a small gesture, but if you think about what that was, and I don't know the fashion industry. I'm not into it. I'm not a fashion photographer. But as a person, as a photographer, look what he did. He just kind of put a chink in it, boom, and opened it up with light by saying to these beautiful, creative models, what do you think? Well, I'd wear it like that. Well, let's do that then. Boom.
And it had just never been done before, or that wasn't the role of the model.
That's social.
That. Amazing.
But that's awareness, isn't it? That is not about photography anymore.
Yeah.
Now, again, this story might be all over and it's second edit and but that for me struck a real chord, and I do that, and I feel like that, and so I did a headshot for somebody recently, an actress friend of mine. She was in a film, and She said, will you do pictures? I said, yeah, I'll shoot you in London. She went, oh no, COVID, I don't want to travel. I'm in Ali Palace. So I said, well, look, I'll go there, but I don't know the venue. I don't know the location, but let's have a bit of fun trying to find somewhere. I said, brilliant. So socially distanced, we went off and we found this little bridge and a tunnel. The pictures are beautiful, but it had nothing to do with photography. It had to do with our experience and me going, well, let's just do it. Let's do it till we get it. Let's do it till we find where we want to do it. And it was like, and she wrote, and I get this a lot, and this is not, bigging me up here, but I get people go, thanks for that. That was a great day. And that's before they've seen the photographs. So I think that's what it's about. I create that, I think. And that is a self-awareness in a way. And I've had it on set when I started to do, I jumped from doing theatre to doing film stills and unit stills. I don't know how I did that, but it was a contact. And I remember it was a Channel 4 comedy series, and the guy who played the lead sent me an email and said, I just want to say you're really good to have on set. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks, mate. He said, yeah, and I thought, do I ask him what he means by that? Because I thought, I don't really know what he means by that. And anyway, he went to a second series and we became sort of mates. And I said, what do you mean by that? He went, well, most photographers are really hard work in, he said, my experience, he said, is you're going into their world. They're never coming into yours, sort of thing. So, and I kind of got it. I think what I tend to do, and I got told this when I was an actor, in life we have status, we have natural status. People have a natural low status or a natural high status, or some people have a fluctuating status. It doesn't mean that is your status, but it's what we have, it's what we're given. Bank manager or somebody who works in the city will probably have a high status, whereas somebody's working, I don't know, in a shop might have a lower status. It doesn't mean they are low or high. It's
perception, yeah.
Perception. And I was told at drama school that I have a fluctuating status, that it goes, and I said, well, what is a fluctuating status? And he'll say, well, Charlie Chaplin is one. He looks like that. He turns around and kicks you with the bum. He keeps his status just under yours, which is a nice thing to do in a way. And I think naturally maybe that's what I do. I don't think I have I don't have a high status, but I have a one which I think is organic and it moves around, and I like that. And I'm good at, say, when we move on to doing film stills and that. As an actor, I was an actor. I should have been in front of the camera. And I'm not going, oh, God, he's doing that rubbish. Oh, God, is he doing it like that? I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking, as a photographer, how to blend in, camouflage myself, not get chucked off set when they hear the click, or not bug people who are really vulnerable at that time. Being an actor on set, recording, it's I think, an intense vulnerability, which is very powerful, but it could, go. And that's why when you hear all these actors going off on one, there's part of me going, it's them. They're putting themselves out there. So we should respect it. But then also part of me goes, you're only saying words, you're not saving the world. But there is a fine line.
Yeah, there is. And to what degree did you get into the technical, Craig? Because, I'm thinking about photography in particular, and I dabble myself, particularly with video, and I mean dabble. What was there? Were you interested in, or did you ever get into the technical?
No.
That camera versus that camera, bokeh, depth of field, all that.
It's so funny.
Stuff.
So funny because I can't be bothered with all that. And it's awful to say, and I kind of go for the realms of more artistry. I say I'm an artist as opposed to a photographer. There's two types of photographers, I think. There's the technical one and the spontaneous one. Now, I keep in the spontaneous one because I couldn't give a damn. I shoot I taught a little bit of photography. Somebody asked me to do it, and I realised I knew a lot more than what I thought. But I don't think I know anything. The worst thing is if someone looks at me and goes, oh, Nikon 5D. And you go, oh, here we go. You can't be bothered. Oh, that's interesting. And it's like, I have a script. I go, yeah, I'm working on these and these and that. And I have a little script but I'd rather clean the oven, you know what I mean, than talk about it. I'm not that bothered. I know the technical side of it, and I've been there when you're with someone, people go, you can do it like that. And you go, what? And you go, press that button. You go, oh, okay. I was doing it the hard way. But I'm really not bothered. I put my cameras down at night. I don't clean them. It's like a car to me. It's the vehicle, but it's not what I'm driving in. It's where I'm going. You know what I mean? That's what I like. It's the same. It's not what I'm shooting. It's who I'm shooting. It's not what I'm shooting with. So, and I know that sometimes might hinder me, but I kid you not, look at my cameras, they're in a pile. I can't be bothered. I'll get a new one when I need one. It's my hammer, it's my tool, but I'm more interested in what I'm doing now, how I'm doing it, in terms of the psychology of it, maybe, or the, getting exciting about taking the picture and coming back and seeing it and working it. And that's where I'm not really. I've realised that I do have a technique. I've realised that now, and I do have a style. My style is which is bizarre. I thought about this the other day because I'm getting my website rebuilt. But my mate, it was another photographer, close friend of mine, was looking at. I always look at his stuff and go, "Oh my god," to myself, going, "Why can't I do what he does?" And I told him that, and he went, "I'm saying the same about you, mate." Oh, that's interesting. He said,
"There you
"You
go."
always seem to slightly overexpose things." He said to me, and I've realised I do. So I shoot fully manual, which I suppose is a technique. I don't rely on anything to do with the camera. I use my brain, not the camera's brain. And I slightly overexpose everything, which is bizarre because when you overexpose it, you can't. If it's slightly overexposed, you can, but anything which is completely overexposed, you can never get it back. It's gone, burnt, what we call burnt out. If you underexpose, you can always find it through, if you're shooting raw.
Through the editing process.
So I'm kind of, in a way, there's something, this is really, really probably a bit creamy, but it's something about me. I do overexpose in life. I give you too much of me. I know I do. I give, and you can't get it back. And I kind of like that. I think, well, that's me. Because I was thinking about things from the website. I thought, well, that's what I do. I kind of overexpose. And the beauty thing about overexposing is you can't get it back. If it's gone, it's overexposed. And I don't underexpose. I do see the glass half full. I do. So I kind of look, and I always put a little bit of grain in my stuff, what we call noise grain. It was years ago, and a little bit of, I desatch a little bit. And I do have my own little style. And I promise you, Phil, when I look at my photographs, I don't like them. I never like them. Never like one picture I've ever took. But if I look back in a year's time, I go, who took that? That's nice. Did I do that? That's cool. I like that.
I'd say that's very common wouldn't you say, in creatives in general?
I think so.
It's never good enough. Some of the best actors in the world will say, "Oh, I can't watch myself." It's like Judi Dench, I think, is an example I've heard say that. "Oh, I can't possibly watch myself. It's an absolute nightmare." Do you think, to what degree do you think? Because you mentioned earlier on in the chat that
I know we've gone on a lot of tangents. Sorry, mate.
Oh no, listen, that's my fault. We'll always go on tangents. You say about style. That's my style.
I like that.
I don't rein anybody in, and I go off on all sorts of different journeys. And so that's my style as well. But one of the things you said earlier, actually, interestingly, was, these might be my words, not quite yours, but you talked about, as I interpreted it, as you had an attention to detail. Is that?
Yeah.
That's the impression. So has that helped in terms of getting the best pictures?
Yeah, I mean, I realise I'm very rock and roll. I'm very spontaneous. I'm very in the moment. But I've realised with time, I don't realise what I'm doing. But if I stop, because I'm very much in the moment kind of person, and again, that means saying about the present and all that stuff, but I am. And I think what I'm realising now, I don't realise what work I'm doing. Completely sussing everything out. First thing is the talent. Psychologically, mentally, I've got to get on with it. Emotionally, or her. Got to do that. Got to get on with it. Then I've got to get the shot. I'm working for distribution companies or producers, and the fear. I don't enjoy it. I never enjoy it on the day because it's hard work. Because I'm looking at all the details. What I learned very early: shoot it, and then if in doubt, widen out, shoot more. Because if you can't get it, you never get that moment again. Now, so I'm aware that, and I have been, I've fallen on my ass a couple of times with that, where you've gone, I've had to charm it and go, well, we don't got the wide shot. No, they didn't do the wide, and thinking, oh my God, next time, wide. So I'm constantly putting attention to detail. And I think naturally now my eye goes to the frame. And I think I have I have my own style. And it is looking at, you don't realise how much you're assessing the situation. That's still what you're taking. You've almost created it. You've always, you've built, you've got it there. You've lined it up. And you do that a lot. But then a lot of stuff, because I work in documentary now, is you realize every job, that's what I realized, every job you do is an experience, and it adds something to you, everything. So this project I've been doing on lockdown, which is just for me, I realized that as a documentary photographer and as a skill, I'm so at ease with people, and I'm genuinely interested in them, and I can tell that they go, this is good. And and I feel it's made me think about more documentary. I want to work for me more now, but I realize that I've got, at 50 now, I've got the package. I think I'm never going to stop learning, but I know where I want to be. I know that with theatre, I was getting to the top of my game. Only a few of us would do it, and I was getting big clients then. And the film stuff, which has dropped off now, but it'll come back. So I'm in a good place for when we start again to think I'm going to step back on a lot of the stuff. I'm not going to do a lot of it. I mean, I'm going to need to eat and do all that, but a lot of my stuff is I'm going to put a project a year. I've been so lucky to understand, like, what the hell, from being not knowing what I wanted to do, cutting grass, to now, doing stuff like I'm doing is just an honor. And lucky, and I instill that into my little girl. Homeschooling came in, it's like, oh, forget homeschooling. Come on, let's go find a waterfall. Let's go experience something. Let's walk up a hill. I know you need maths. I know you need English. But you know what? You also need to be able to breathe and get out there. And, we've been going to, my daughter Lily May's been to see every play since the age of 2. She sat there and watched them all. She knows she doesn't need, she's doing more than most people. I took her to the National Portrait the first time she could speak, and I go, look at that picture. That picture is that big. In books, it's this big. Touch it. Look at it. Go right up to it. So experience is what I want, and I know she needs to get school. But if you don't, I didn't get any. I got a degree. I didn't pass any exams as a kid, right? It wasn't me. But I'm not poo-pooing school or going, we don't need it. Of course we do, but we also need to realise how unimportant it is sometimes as well as that.
Yeah. Do you know, I've studied in my career and doing interviews and such like for many years. In effect, I've been studying success and achievement and fulfillment in a sense. And of course, those things are very different things to very different people. But what's interesting is how often, and you did it yourself there, Craig, is how often people put down their achievement to luck. And when you're outside looking in and you hear people's stories, you realize that there might be some luck in there, but it's also about decisions that were taken. It's about skills that were developed. It's about personalities that were developed. It's about a lot more than just luck.
I know it is. You make your own luck, don't you? I mean, I realize that with being an actor, when you realize that, you're going into an industry where there's no work, right? There's no work. And you're very lucky if you get an agent, but I was industrious at drama school. I won the Margaret Amelia Award, Student of the Year. I entered the National Student Drama Festival twice, and I won it. Now, as an actor, got people going, you won it? Yeah. We went to Edinburgh. Okay. And the next year I got Best Actor in it. And that's because that was all stuff outside of college I was doing, because I'm industrious. My dad's a grafter. My mum's a grafter. I'm a grafter. My brother's a grafter. We are grafters. My sister's a grafter. Not as much as me and my brother maybe, but we are working. I use the stairs. I don't use lifts. Never have done. I don't get them. That's the way I am. Everything is for a reason. So I do graft, and I think that with that graft becomes reliability. With reliability and I think that's what I did with Adam. If I think back, people were saying to me, I was working and making no money. Even for Adam Kenwright, I was doing jobs for him, which should have been like proper financially rewarded. He was helping me out, and he was giving me. But what I've got back from that is I worked harder and didn't have weekends, and I still had no money, but I had the trust that this guy had my back, and I trusted him and he trusted me. And people would go, my God, you never stop, and all those people have peeled off in their life, and I'm still doing it and still working. And I got the opportunity to work on that I'm now the lead photographer in so many stuff in the West End, you know, and I'm I'm now, people rang me up today, and people are going, can you spare this, and can you, and people are coming to me now, and I know that before the pandemic, I was right at the stage of my life and career that I was then starting to pick the jobs that I wanted to do for me, and I don't like giving work up, but I was kind of thinking about branching out a little bit in somewhere else. But I was starting to feel like that. I've fallen down the rung now, and we've probably got to start again a little bit. But
Talk to me about that, because finally, then I'll conclude it here, because I say this to most guests, but I mean it. I mean it every single time. I think people just think it's a part of my closing spiel, and it absolutely isn't. But I just loved listening to people's stories and people's experiences. And I could, just like everybody else, if I'm honest, I could keep talking to you for a lot longer. And we need to do a part 2, which is something else.
you know what, Phil? I'd love to do a part 2, because I've just spoke
There's a lot more to say.
Well, I've just spoke to my. There's so much. I'd like to go in the next bit of talking about, if I can, with you, maybe about what happened. We're talking about how I got here. I'd like to tell you how I actually got there through my work now, if you know what I mean. But I talked to my parents before, went on and went, I'm not sure about this podcast. And it's been the best thing I've done for ages. I've really enjoyed it.
I'm delighted. I'll tell you what, then, just to finish off on this particular one, and as I said, I will definitely talk to you about doing another one. Just give me, obviously we're recording this in December 2020, which I don't need to tell everybody what that means in terms of 2020. It's a year that not many people forget, at every age, in every level. But just give me a little bit of insights, because you've been adapting a little bit, haven't you? Because obviously you, like millions of others, have been impacted a little bit, or quite a bit, by the situation. What is it you've been working on and adapting recently that you were mentioning to me at the before we came on air?
So because I've been working, again, I'm the kind of photographer, when I finish a shoot, I throw them in the corner. I don't clean them. I'm not that bothered about, my archive's important. So I'll edit, file, deliver, approve, sign off, go. Then they go into archives, and that's kind of it. And then you don't think of them again, apart from if you need them. And again, I'd rather clean the oven than go through my pictures. I can't stand going through them. And I hope one day that somebody will. I'm looking at a couple of archive agents, because I do think they're important, a lot of these. I've got pictures of, films I've done, Class of '92, I Am Bolt, documentaries which will be there for a long time. I do the Late Show stuff. I do a lot of stuff with Corden, which we can talk about later. So the good thing about the pandemic, it's made me stop, and my business just went closed. No hope of opening right now. So it took me a while to switch off. And the first month you're going, I'm still contact. How you doing? Is that shoot going on? Yeah. Oh, it's not now. Okay. And then you realize the lights are going off, and they're really going off. And that gets from exciting. I went to my little cottage in Yorkshire going, I can't hear planes. I can hear birds, and look at it, I can smell it, to a bit, oh my God, am I going to,
Oh my God.
a couple of months? Okay. And then it's almost like I was falling, but you hadn't landed yet. And then within 2 months anyway, I landed, and you, okay, I haven't died, but I'm not working, but I've got enough money, luckily, to get me through. You start looking at what, you start pulling in resources. So you start cancelling that, and downgrading your phone or whatever. All that became quite liberating, simplifying your life. So with that simplification of my life came the creativity came back. Even though I'm doing a creative job, a lot of the time you don't feel creative, because you are ticking the boxes, you're doing it, and that's what it got like. It is creative, don't get me wrong. People go, what? But you're feeling less worthy within your creativity, because, you're shooting to a brief, or what you think's good, somebody doesn't. You're getting paid for it, basically. So when all that stopped, I still had my camera, still had it. I still had my eye, and I still had, so I thought, I've got to start documenting what's going on. So I started to feel liberated again about doing simple photography. But what I realized this time, like when I did that exhibition called On the From the Hip to get people into my studio and that, I was so much more, I was a grandmaster at doing it in a way because I'd learned so much. And I pulled on those resources and those jobs where I don't speak, I don't say anything, and I'm with these amazing creative people and directors, and I can't say anything because I don't shut up, as you well know. So what I've learned is to listen and absorb more within my job, and then going back to my art, I apply it in a different way. So I had this idea of, and I've learned this from drama school. When I was learning, I was at the English Shakespeare Company. There was an exercise about Shakespeare. People don't get shit. I love Shakespeare. I never understood it. My dad we argue about it to this day. Shakespeare is beautiful. It's accessible. I used to go into schools and go, the teachers don't know. They don't know. It's not about understanding it. It's about feeling it. And I go in there and, what do you think this is happening? Kid would go, is it? And you go, yes, it is that. That's what it means. It means whatever it means to you. That's art. And I learned that. So what I learned an exercise, they used to do this exercise where if it were done, when it was done, then twirl well it were done quickly, and a line of Shakespeare. And we could distill it. They'd do it in text. So text it to your friend, but just use 5 of those words. There's 10 words in each line. So the iambic pentameter, did we know all that. But just use 5. Give me 5 words. So they'll choose 5 words. And you go, do you still know what it means? Yeah, there we go. So those 5 words we didn't really need, but they're nice to have. Let's distill it into 3 words. Can we do 3 words? Come on, let's see if we can do 3 words. Duh. So to be or not to be, or to be or not. So you can, it's 4 words, but what I'm saying, you get it, you learn. These kids learn, and I was learning that there's too much information, but we can have it if we want it, but we can still get to it. So I had this idea, going onto people's doors and knocking on their doors and just saying to them, mask on, social distance, how do you feel? I want 5 words, 3 words, or 1 word. Just tell me how you feel. Then tell me somewhere else I can go. And they went, what do you mean? I said, well, have you got a friend who would do this, or could you ring them up? No social media. Send me to the next door. 200 people later in the lockdown, I've learned so much about me, about the village I live in, about the life. The photography, which I'll send you some pictures, is amazing. I do a little film to it. I'll send you the film to try and get funding. People are going, oh my God, this is a book. And all of a sudden, I was getting up in the morning and being liberated by telling a story, using all the stuff I've learned from documentary style. Because I was going, is this interesting? It's just somebody at a door. People started writing on bits of wood. People started writing on fruit. People wrote on their hands. And what I got from that is the picture was beautiful. Sometimes it was wrong. Sometimes it was right. I'd go back. And it was just, I spoke to lots of my friends, director friends and art director friends who were going, this is genius. This is so simple. It's so of its time. And then what I did, people said, if you get a second lockdown, you should do it. And I said, yeah, but to be honest, it's hard work going out there and knocking on people's doors.
Yeah.
And it's what I realized, I'm getting older, and I was a bit, don't want to do that. Anyway, second lockdown came, and bizarrely enough, my daughter, she was locked down when I think the whole schools were off, or I can't remember if hers was closing, but I said, let's go back down to, let's go to the cottage we've got in Yorkshire, which we call Huggle House. My daughter named it Huggle because we Huggle House. And I got up in the morning. I hadn't even spoke to myself. I got up in the morning, I got my Leica. I'm only shooting a Leica prime lens, 35 or a 50. And I just knocked on people's doors who had shot before. Hello. I said, can we do 0.2? How do you feel now? And it's like New World Order, or there's babies being born. They've got a baby, some of them. Some of them have got belly because they've got pregnant. And all of a sudden I was going, I'm in a different world now. I have to finish it. I'm hoping for 0.3 so I can get a proper book out of it. And I just went round again. Everything now is different. People are now getting tired People are going, when's this going to end? People aren't talking about thank you NHS. People aren't. I mean, they are. I'm actually creating my own consensus. Really, I'm looking around. I'm doing canvassing, and there's some people who haven't changed. But some people are saying stuff like this lorry driver went, "When will I be furloughed?" And you go, "Oh my God, there's people who are getting overworked. I'm only thinking about me who hasn't worked. Poor me." There's a whole array of people out there who are overworked, who are working extra hours. My neighbour just put knackered. Now, his wife put my life hasn't changed. The following time she put same day, different shit, she said, or something like that. And it's been fascinating.
What a mega thing that is.
It's been amazing.
It's really great.
And I can't wait. What was hard for me, and this is the industriousness, this is where you succeed. I didn't realise I was doing it, but I didn't want to get up now on dark nights, knock on someone's door. And out of 200 people I shot, only about 50 wanted to do it again. So that shows you. But I didn't let him go. This one football coach, I'm going, come on. And he wouldn't do it. And I said, if you don't do it, you won't get in the book. He went, all right, I'll come up to the rec and you can do it there. Thank you. And because I'm saying now, I'd give you my time, you give me your time a little bit. And it's kind of working, and I've just found out the Houses of Parliament want to take it. My MP wants to take it, put it in one of the rooms for Bradford West, you know, because this is a very northern thing. I know I live down south. I lived down south long. I lived down up in Yorkshire, but I'm still very much a Yorkshire man. I'm transient. I'm all over the place. But I lived there and I did it there. It's no reflection saying the north's better than the south. It's nothing like that. It's a village. What I love about it, and I'm going to make these little commemorative tins, and I've told you everybody who's taken part will get a free photograph with a stamp with the dates of the lockdown. So it's like a certificate. And I said, put it in a tin and let your kids find it later on, because we never do that now. And I'm going to hopefully make some commemorative tins, and we put them in that. So it's not a book. Maybe it is a book, but people get it. It's a lockdown. It's in a lovely tin. And we can sell them and we can give it to the community. That's what I want to do. And so I'm in the second. Thank God I did point 2, because it's over with now. And I feel, being pure about it, I can't go up there and go, can we do a couple of more shots and pretend it was, I need to be in lockdown. I've done it in lockdown 1, lockdown 2. Fingers crossed for lockdown 3.
Yes, it's part of the story, isn't it? I get that. Do you know, I'm going to have to close it there.
Yes,
Craig, I'll tell you what, mate. Well, I talk about these interviews, and I always talk about them in terms of the 3 I's. And I'm hoping that anybody that watches these or listens to them on an audio podcast get either an ideas, inspiration, or insights, or all 3.
Yeah, or all 3.
Anybody watching this, if they haven't got some ideas, some inspiration, and some insights, I need to call it a day and give up, because
that's very kind. I really enjoyed
much on there. Amazing.
Thank you. I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it? But we've all got stories like this. We've all got something to offer. We've all got something to give. And it's like, I've really enjoyed. I don't talk about me and not me, but work or whatever. And I've really enjoyed it, and I want to do it again.
Yeah, well, you're a natural. I mean, you know, I could go on, but you know, there's so many things that jump out at me. I mean, first of all, I can tell you've got likability straight off the bat, just by and this is online. It's, you know, it's digital, it's everything else, but it demonstrates that you can feel likability through the internet. It doesn't always have to be face to face. You know, that's one of the things that picked up.
I mean,
You're a great things that you might not have realized, which I'll tell you. You're a great storyteller. You know,
I didn't know.
you know, it's kind of what we've been on an hour and eight minutes, and it's just flown by, because you're a great storyteller. And I strongly suspect, without putting words in your mouth, but I strongly suspect you also are very good at storytelling through your photographs as well, which of course is another
really. Yeah, that's what I
love, isn't it? So I'm going to stop it there, but I can guarantee I'm going to be on to you to do another, because
I'd love that. Well, I'd like to go to the next
stuff.
If that'd be just telling you about how I got there and stuff I'm doing, and how lucky I am to be working in the field I am, and you know, that's
brilliant. You know, okay, then. Well, thanks very much for joining me, Craig. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. All the best.